And what's up, everybody? It's your good friend Jimbo back again. After a 2-week layoff, these past 2 weeks. But we're back. Well, I'm back this week. Hopefully, Shoulders will be back tomorrow or Saturday. I was gone away because kind of got married this past weekend in the nice 98-degree weather that the heat index was like 108 and sweating our asses off, but we were troopers out there. Our good friend King was part of my wedding, and poor guy, I mean, really thought he was gonna pass out a couple times, but he toughed it out, and he was a trooper. But that's kind of why we didn't do a show the past 2 weeks. I know the last time we had a show, I said about trying to do a best of, but just a hectic week to try to get everything done. But we're back. We're going to be able to put more time towards the show and make it better and better for each week for you guys. Before we jump into the show, do me a favor, head over to Twitter, follow the show at ST Sports Podcast, follow my personal account at Jimbo ST Sports, head over to Facebook, like and share our page, head over to YouTube. You can like and share our YouTube channel there, and every show that we have always ends up on there, so if you don't want to listen to us on iTunes or TuneIn or Google Play, wherever you find us, just head over there. Put on a PlayStation or whatever you want to do, and you can listen to us. But, so, kicking off the show, it just came out earlier today, a second boxer actually passed away this week from this past weekend's fights that were on. And it's starting to spark some debate of how can boxing stop this. Now today, Argentina boxer Hugo Santillan, and that's the sad part, is he was 23, passed away due to injuries he sustained from this past Saturday's fight. And then earlier this week, Russian boxer Maxim Dadyshev died Tuesday from similar injuries. And I've seen a couple people say maybe one route that the boxing could go is training the officials a little bit better of telltale signs of this guy's taking too much damage, we gotta stop this type thing. As far as the Russian boxer that passed away on Tuesday, video came out of his coach pleading with him after the one round, saying, I gotta call this fight, you're taking too much damage. And you could train these officials all you want, but when it comes to brain damage, I mean, some of these fighters don't pass away till days after, and they seem fine up until that last day. If you guys followed Chris Lieb in his UFC days, I mean, there was a lot of fights that he looked out on his feet, and I mean, he's still fighting with bare knuckle boxing now. So I'm sure there's got to be a way to figure this all out and stop these boxers from pushing themselves too far to the point of death. It just seems like there's a lot more boxers dying nowadays due to fights. And I know a couple times me and Shoulders talked about, comparing boxing to bare knuckle. Why is bare knuckle a little more safer than boxing? And if you really, I was thinking about it today, if you think about, with boxing, you have heavier gloves, which are thicker compared to mixed martial arts gloves, so they're throwing more power into them. Now, yes, there's more padding, but it's still hitting you as hard. And then when you drop it all the way down to bare knuckle, they're only throwing up, the smart ones that don't break their knuckles or wrists. They're only throwing like 50% power, and as of now, there's been no deaths from bare knuckle since it came back. It's the safer of the three sports. It's a shame that we don't know how to fix this problem. Now you could do all the science tests or experiments that you want, but at some point, we gotta figure this out. So, to the two boxers, families, and friends, we offer the condolences to you guys. And hopefully something changes sooner rather than later so that this can't stop. Now, like I always say, I don't like to start off the episode with like a sad story, but here's actually a good story, a pretty cool story. Anderson Silva officially became a U.S. citizen this past week. It's been known that he's been trying to get his U.S. citizenship for the past 10 years. And on Tuesday at the Los Angeles Convention Center, with I think they said about 8,000 more U.S. citizens, they were sworn in. And on top of that, the other cool thing about it was it wasn't just him that got sworn in. It was also his son Khalil and his daughter Corey. Son's 20, his daughter's 23. The whole family sang the national anthem, recited every word of it with his hand over his heart. And if you watch Silva fight, obviously he's very respected in Brazil. He respects Brazil a lot, but he even came out and said that Brazil gave him a lot, but he feels U.S. is his country now, and it's time for him to give back what it gave to him. He still has his mom and his brothers in Brazil, and who knows, maybe they will follow his steps and he'll bring them over and get them U.S. citizenship. But it's I know when I first started getting into UFC following and stuff like that, I never really liked Silva because of the whole cockiness and everything like that. But it seemed like ever since the Chris Weidman loss, it kind of humbled a little bit, and I became more of a fan of his, rooting for him. And plus, he's older now. You always want to root for the old guy to always come out on top. And what better way to come out on top than finally earning your U.S. citizenship? And I'll give him credit too. I mean, his English ain't that bad either. It's still a little broken, but I mean, come on. You only really been learning it for about 10 years now, and it's pretty cool. And so he's living in Los Angeles now with his children. I'll post the story on the Stay Tuned Sports Facebook page. That way you guys can read, because there's a lot of good quotes in there from Silva and his family, saying how they're very happy to finally be Americans after all these years of going through with it. And kudos to them for also not giving up on it. Just 10 years is a long time to keep on trying to get the citizenship and stuff like that. But, congrats to you, Anderson Silva. It's a honor to have you as a U.S. citizen, knowing how respectful you are towards people and the sport, and hope good things keep coming to you. One good thing that happened, that I was hoping to happen, a couple weeks ago on Dana White's Contender Series, Brendan Logan, it's probably not Logan, Lognane, was dominating his fight, and last 10 seconds of the fight, he went in for a takedown and really basically turned off Dana White on him. Dana White came out and said that, why would you do that with 10 seconds left? You're dominating the fight. This, that, the other thing. And he didn't offer the contract. Well, it came out this past week that Brendan signed a exclusive deal with PFL, which I believe it airs on ESPN. He's going to enter their tournament, I believe, later this year, but he's actually going to be debuting this October, just as a, I guess, in a way, a warm-up fight. And here's the thing, too. Like, when I saw about the headlines last month that UFC didn't offer him a contract, this and that, I was curious to see what his record is. He's actually 17-3. And this is why, like, Dana White really gets on my nerves sometimes with this type of stuff. To me, you're having this contender series to find new prospects to bring in so that when Anderson Silva retires or BJ Penn, whenever he decides to retire, that you have more prospects coming in that are good talent, that you're not going to take a step back in talent. And all because he went for a takedown the last 10 seconds with a 17-3 record, dominating that fight. You're not going to sign the dude? I really hope this kid goes on undefeated in this PFL, because the tournaments are like $1 million tournaments, and I still hope like Bellator signs him and builds him up, because he already has a good following, from my understanding, from reading the article on ESPN. He's considered one of the best English fighters and has a loyal following back in Manchester. The last fighter that I could remember that was like that was Michael Bisping, and he became champion. I mean, granted, it was later in his career, but it took some time for him to figure out how to put it all together. But it sounds like this kid has it already put together at 17-3, and you're not going to give him a contract or even just a early fight pass, prelim like what PFL did here, just a one fight contract. No, you just want to stomp off and make the headlines so that more people watch your series. More about ratings, because Ultimate Fighter has died the past 7 years. And speaking of Dana, he came out today too, also talking about the whole Jon Jones incident that is going on right now. So kind of leading into that story, Mr. Jon Jones is back in the news and being charged with battery stemming to a incident back in April at a strip club. Reports are that he was there with his brothers, Arthur and Chandler, who are NFL football players, veterans. And he's being accused of slapping a cocktail waitress in her private area, pulling her down to his lap and kissing her neck, as well as putting her in a chokehold and picking her up off the ground. Even though she told him, basically, stop, don't do that. And he kept doing it. Like, he thinks he's above the law. And just when I thought maybe he's turned the corner, because he went, 2 fights without having any drug incidences or breaking the law or anything like that, he goes and has this. Now, Dana White came out today, and someone asked him about all these instances, and he's like, basically, with all these By this point in Jones's career, Dana White is numb to all these incidences. Then fire him. Why are you keeping him on the roster? I understand he's one of your bigger pay-per-view sellers. Conor McGregor is one of your bigger pay-per-view sellers. Why do you keep these guys on your roster when you know their pattern of behavior is going to keep going on? You know, I wrote an article this past week on bellyupsports.com about the consistency of punishments from UFC. They're right up there with the NFL. You know, 2 weeks ago, Tyreek Hill didn't get suspended for the audio that came out, supposedly him beating his son to the point that he ended up getting a broken arm. There's audio out there that he says to his girlfriend, the mother of his child, "You should be afraid of me just like him." But yet, Jimmy Smith of the Ravens basically did the same thing and gets suspended for 4 games a couple years ago. Ezekiel Elliott, video out there. Granted, it was more of a push than like him hitting him, but he said right on the video, "You have something to say?" in an aggressive voice, like he wanted to fight. Does not get suspended. There has to be some type of consistency when it comes to domestic violence or, you know, assault cases, whether it's against children, against women, against men. Something's got to give. If you don't want this black cloud, this dark cloud over the UFC, it's about time Dana White and UFC steps up and wakes these guys up. Fired them. Because they're going to keep doing it. Conor McGregor threw a dolly through a bus, injuring 2 fighters that ended up getting put off that card that weekend because of injuries from that. And that lawsuit's still going on between the one fighter and Conor, I believe. I mean, something's got to get done. I mean, you know, going back to this Jon Jones thing, just to give you an example of how this situation escalated, the woman, per the criminal summons, told police, "I just don't want to deal with this person. I think he is a effing piece of shit. The whole situation is complicated, and I'm not really sure what to say, and this person gets away with everything." And he does. The girl told him no, because he was asking for a lap dance from her, and according to her, cocktail waitresses cannot give lap dances according to the policy, the workers' policy. So she told you no. Why keep doing it? If you want a lap dance that bad, you call the stripper over. On top of that, why do you even at a strip club? You just make no sense. You make one good decision and then you make 3 bad decisions. Jones does. And it's a shame because a lot of people out there still think he's the greatest of all time. I still have my I want to say doubts now, because his past 2 fights weren't overwhelming. And these past 2 fights, he hasn't tested positive for any PEDs. But when he was dominant, he tested positive for steroids. So how just good are you? But as far as the story, it doesn't matter how good you are. When a woman tells you no, or when a woman tells you stop, you apologize and you say, "I'm sorry," and you walk away. Stop being a jackass. I'm just hoping this is the final straw where UFC finally says, "Enough's enough, Jon. Sorry, we gotta go our separate ways." But just like Jon Jones' pattern of behavior, I'm pretty sure UFC will keep him around just so he's the bad guy and he sells a lot more pay-per-views because he wants to fight. I think I saw he came out and said he wants to fight in October or something like that. But I also brought up about Greg Hardy in my article with his past. NFL, the teams, not Goodell, NFL finally said they had enough. I mean, he had the domestic assault dropped because his girlfriend at the time didn't want to cooperate, so they had no evidence, even though they had pictures of guns all over the place. And originally she said that he threw her through furniture and stuff like that. Now he's been in the UFC since I believe January, has kept his nose clean. We'll see how it keeps going. Everybody does mess up. I'm not saying one and you're done, but as far as Jones goes, I mean, come on, man. Since 2012, like every year, there's like 2 or 3 different incidences he's involved with outside of fighting. Enough's enough. That's my little rant on Mr. Jon Jones. And I'll probably bring that to Shoulders tomorrow and see how he feels, what he thinks UFC should do about it as well. Because, if you guys listen to us talk about the Tyreek Hill, the Zeke Elliott, all those stories that come out, you know that it really fires Shoulders up, and we really get completely honest what should get done for these guys, these scumbags. But this weekend we have UFC 240 coming up. Max Holloway versus Frankie Edgar. The card, it looks okay. I know UFC's been putting some really good cards on lately. But this one may be, kind of like a step back. Let's take a step back and breathe for once and get back into it. But just to run down the fight card, we have Max Holloway versus Frankie Edgar for the 145 belt. Chris Cyborg versus Felicia Spencer for, no belt because Cyborg don't have it no more. She got her ass kicked by Nunez. Then we have Jeff Neal versus Nico Price. Then we have Ubin Mercer versus Armin Sarukan. That's a 155-pound bout. Then we have Krzysztof Jotko versus Barulut at 185. That one kicks off the main card. Since I've been getting back into UFC these past few months, some of these names are starting to stick with me now, and I'll tell you what, with the Krzysztof Jotko versus Barulut, I'm going with Jotko. He fought just a few months ago. Very impressive to me. I liked his stand up. So I'm gonna go with him for the win. It may go to decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a knockout in the third round. Then after that fight, we have Abin Mercer versus Arman Sarukan. Again, it's the 155s. I love the small guys. I think they're sometimes more entertaining than the heavyweights or the light heavyweights where you're looking for the knockouts. They're just so quick, and they do have some power in them. So with this fight, I'm going to go with Sarukan with a submission win. We'll go with the second round. Then after that fight, we have Jeff Neal versus Nico Price. I know a lot of people are jumping on this Nico Price bandwagon. I'm gonna go with Jeff Neal. I think I've seen Nico fight once or twice since I got back into it. And I'm not putting him down. I just, going for an upset here. Then after that, this fight here, this is an interesting fight. Chris Cyborg versus Felicia Spencer. this could end very badly for Cyborg because she's constantly talking about the Amanda Nunes rematch. Dana White saying that she doesn't want it. But here's the thing. This is the last fight on her contract. If she loses, I think she loses a lot of leverage for a new contract with whoever she decides to sign with. Just because that'll be back-to-back losses. She's a little older now, for the fight game. And Felicia Spencer is an underdog on top of that. And I'll give Spencer credit. Someone asked her that if she beats Cyborg, does she think that she deserves a title shot? And she said she's not worried about that right now. Cyborg, she's talking about Manny Nunes. And this is what I don't understand about some fighters. Why don't you take it one fight at a time? Don't worry about what the next step is. Get through the first step, then worry about what's next. Now, if Cyborg wins this, I think she would have all the leverage for UFC for a new contract, because then it would set up a rematch with Amanda Nunes. Because really there's no one left for Nunes to fight. The rematch makes sense, but not if Cyborg loses. Now, with that all being said, not saying Nunes' win was a fluke, because her stand-up game is very good, and Cyborg came in head down and all. I think Cyborg pulls out this win. I think it's going to be Cyborg, like an old Cyborg fight, first round knockout. I'm hoping that the Nunes loss kind of re-sparks that fire in her. So I'm going to go with Chris Cyborg with the win. Then with the main event, we have Max Holloway versus Frankie Edgar. It's not that I don't like Edgar. I just don't understand why he's getting all these title shots. It seems like he fights one, loses, fights again, wins. You got a title shot. Max Holloway, very good fighter. He put a hell of a fight on against Dustin Poirier a couple months ago. He's on top right now. He seems like he finally has everything put together, how to pull out these wins against different opponents. And I'm sorry, but I gotta go with him. I could see this being a good fight, though. I could see this going 5 rounds and being a war. But I just can't see how Edgar pulls it out. Overall, I think the pay-per-view will be like a C plus, a B. But you never know. I could be wrong, and it could be an A plus. So that's going to be it for this week. Like I said, we'll be back tomorrow or Saturday with Shoulders and myself. Got lots to talk about, a lot of catching up to do in the NFL, hockey, basketball, stuff like that. Yeah, we had the training camps opening up this week, so we're going to talk a lot more football, I think. But before I go, head over to Twitter, follow the show at ST Sports Podcast, follow my personal one at Jimbo ST Sports. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, TuneIn, all those. Head over to YouTube and Facebook, like and share us. Subscribe to them. Till next time, it's your good friend Jimbo, signing out.